God will win. He has already won and is preparing judgment. Will the nations, will you and I, worship the true King or continue worshiping lesser things? Hello and welcome to the Rooted Together podcast, a podcast which aims to root you in Christ through his word together. I'm your host, Charles, and today we are in Revelation chapter 15 with an episode entitled Bowls and Judgment. You see, we see this beautiful picture throughout this entire chapter of God's glory. We've been following this saga of the beast and the dragon, and we see the lamb destroying them. We see God's justice flowing, and we continue this scene into heaven here in chapter 15. It's a very short chapter, and throughout the just 8 verses, we see God's glory reign. God is preparing judgment. Throughout this chapter, we see his glory in that judgment. We see it revealed in the angels and the bowls. And we might go, well, what's really going on? Well, we see it in the destruction of the beast and its image, because the beast has an image that talks and actually can rain down fire from heaven. And we go, that's really weird. And we see God's glory as he reigns over the beast. And particularly one verse that I want to focus in on is verse 5. As we focus in on God's glory, look past the sort of oddities of the beast and the bowls and the angels and what does all that mean, and look to the deeper revelation of God's glory over sin. And in verse 5, we have that. It says, "After this I looked, and the heavenly temple, the tabernacle of testimony, was opened." So notice what's happening here. As God's glory is shining through the judgment and shining through the destruction and shining through the preparation of judgment over sin, the temple is opened. Why? We're allowed in. We're welcomed in. And out of the temple came 7 angels. And there's the 7 angels with the 7 plagues, but this tabernacle's opened. God's glory and justice and power is revealed through that. And as he opens it up, these angels come out carrying these plagues, and that's not good for the world, but what it does mean is that God is glorifying himself through judgment. And God is glorified through judgment. We find that odd. We want a God that only loves, but we realize that God's love has to bring judgment on a sinful world. And we jump then down to verse 8 where it says, "Then the temple was filled with smoke from the glory of God and from his power, and no one could enter the temple until the 7 plagues and the 7 angels were completed." Why couldn't they enter the temple? Not because God wasn't welcoming them in, but because his glory was so overwhelmingly powerful. They couldn't go in. You see, the God we worship, his glory is so overwhelmingly powerful that it will fill that temple. And it's almost, we can't be that close to it. We just have to get that sort of second degree glory as it radiates out. But we see that God will be glorified. And in this chapter, we get to see that. We see evil prevailing in the culture today as we look throughout our world. And we can take comfort in the fact that evil has an end. God's judgment will pour out. It will be satisfied. Evil forces will be thrown down, and God will be glorified, praised, and worshiped. Brothers and sisters, that is something to hope in. Thank you for joining me in Revelation chapter 15, and I look forward to joining you in Revelation chapter 16 next time. Let me know what your highlight of this chapter was, and if this has been helpful for you, like, share, subscribe. Also, feel free to mention me or talk to me or ask me a question or tell me your highlight in the comments. Thank you for listening. I'll see you next time.